Welcome to the Faith and Life podcast at St. Luke Lutheran Church in Gahanna, or it could be Columbus.
Yeah, depends on what you're feeling, what day it is.
What day it is, what side of the street you're on. Literally in front of us, half of it's Gahanna, half of it's Columbus, and we have the zip code that could be both.
Yeah.
We are, let's just say we're in Central Ohio.
Well, let's say this. The Columbus police show up if there's an issue, not the Gahanna police. So, oh no. But our backyard's Westerville, so who knows?
That complicates
And then our side yard's New Albany.
Yes, that's true. And we have kids go to Gahanna High School. We have a lot of people who live in Gahanna.
Yeah.
But also New Albany. Yeah. Also Westerville. Also Columbus. Also Clintonville.
So let's just say Columbus. It's
Central Ohio.
Yeah.
We're Central Ohio.
I mean, we do. Our website is St. Luke Columbus too.
Yes.
So maybe we'd just say we're live from Columbus, Ohio. Let's just make it easier, because anyone outside of Ohio, this whole conversation has been, you have said names and words that mean nothing to me.
Exactly. And Ohio is not a place that generally people come to.
Which is a shame.
It is.
It's the hidden gem I like to call the Midwest.
You think so?
Why not?
What do you like about Ohio?
What's not to like? What's not to like?
Well, I can give you a lot of things.
Okay. You see, you got all 4 seasons. I'm not a big seasons person, but you got all 4 seasons.
Yeah.
You've got the lake, if you want. You've got Cleveland, Ohio. You've got Cincinnati, Ohio. And you've got Columbus, Ohio. You got 3 major metropolitan cities. You've got all your major sports.
True.
Any sports team, major professional, you can go see. Mm-hmm. You've got 2 great roller coaster theme parks between Cedar Point and Kings Island. You've got the beautiful aspect of Hocking Hills that you can get your nature fix. You've got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You've got anything you want is there. The only thing we don't have is a beach. And let's be honest, people like to look at the beach. People don't really like the beach as much.
Where? In general?
Yeah.
People love the beach.
I think people think they like the beach more than they like the beach.
Well, that could be the case.
I think people like the idea of, if you really get down to it, if you could afford to have a house on the beach, that'd be great. But if you go to the beach, it's more of an ordeal, and people eventually, after the first time going, they go, we'll rather stay at the pool.
Yeah.
That's where I push back at, because I feel like then you're lugging everything, and
true.
You got sand everywhere, and
true. Sometimes if I'm on the beach, if it's a hot summer day, it feels like I'm sitting on the desert.
I'm just saying,
with water that I can't drink in front of me if it's the ocean.
I think people like the idea of liking the beach more than they actually like the beach.
I do like the beach if it's a nice cool breeze off the ocean.
Okay.
And the smell of the ocean. To sit there, it's very relaxing to take a nap on a beach on the perfect temperature.
See, I want that like little house right there, so you can see the beach, you can be there, you can have that aspect in those moments. But like, ooh, it's a little hot. Cool, I can go inside.
Yeah, true. I give you that. Ohio does have beaches, by the way, on Lake Erie. There's plenty of them.
You're right. On Lake Erie, there is. I was about to say, are you trying to say like the lakes in Central Ohio that have the beaches like that are like pebbles and rocks?
Right.
No. Yeah, you do have it. So I think it's a hidden gem. People like the dog on Ohio, but I think it's a hidden gem.
I'll give you all those reasons why it's a hidden gem. It's not the most exciting state on the planet for my thinking. I grew up here. I've lived here all but 5 years of my life.
Any type of music act's going to come through here. You're going to be able to see them. You're going to get to do what you want, and still is somewhat affordable compared to other places.
True.
I'm just saying.
And we have Germans from our partner church in Varder, Germany, coming to Ohio to literally see this state.
I mean,
visit us too.
I mean, we're here, so that's why. So
exactly.
That makes sense. So, who thought we'd go into a why Ohio is great? But I like it. I mean, I'm still here. So,
as they used to say, Ohio is the heart of it all. That was the slogan back in the day.
Because we're a heart-shaped state. It's a heart.
Oh yeah.
Wow. And it's the heart of America, if you think about it, of like kind of up in the upper, right where your heart would be if you're kind of looking, your arms extended here of the America.
Yeah.
Michigan's the head.
Do you work for the tourism industry?
I should. I should.
On the side. Should I know something?
Mike, I didn't know, but my side job outside of this is I work for Ohio Tourism Board, and business is great.
Oh my gosh.
Ohio is booming. Come to Ohio.
There are a lot of people coming to Ohio, that's for sure.
That's right.
There's people moving in. We are going to talk about the Apostles' Creed. Let's shift
Oh, we're
gears
not going to spend an entire podcast episode on why Ohio is great.
We could. Keep going.
We really could, but let's do Apostles'
Let's talk
Creed.
about the Apostles' Creed.
So why the Apostles' Creed?
What is the Apostles' Creed? Why the Apostles' Creed? What's the importance of the Apostles' Creed? We were in a retreat with our church leadership this past weekend, and that came up.
Yeah.
The Apostles' Creed, the importance of it. Well, for you, you chimed in on that part of the conversation on Saturday.
Well, it's something that it's important for us, and it's something that we really do strongly teach in our catechism program at St. Luke, because it's important in the hubbub of all that's going on in the world and society and stuff. You're getting all these different voices telling you, do this, this is how you should live, this is how you should act, this is what you should do, this is how you should be. And you get that, and not even you get that from voices that are telling you spiritual living, and you have to kind of make sure you're listening. We know a couple episodes ago we talked about hearing God's voice and knowing how to hear God's voice. A creed is a great way to hear God's voice, because a creed is literally just a statement of one's belief. A credo means I believe. So we then, when we are saying this creed, is saying, I believe this. And if you can have that in the back of your mind when people say like I'm not good at sharing my faith, what do you believe about God? You can rattle off the Apostles' Creed. That pretty much nails down everything you need to know. But it also says it allows you to have a barrier for truth too, of okay, barometer, right, of truth. Does this line up with what I'm familiar with? Does this check? Does this, and if it doesn't, go, well, okay, this is something that has stood historically the test of time as believers from the early days of these are statements of what we believe. And you know, the Apostles' Creed, Nicene Creed, Athanasian Creed. And I think it's important for us as believers to hold those and have those just sitting in our hearts so that we know and in our mind. So we have that on recall of what is it that we do believe?
For sure. I think that's all true. And I would add that in the Lutheran Church in particular, but I would say the same thing for the Presbyterian Church, the Episcopalian Church, the Catholics as well, the mainline denominations.
If you didn't say your mainline denomination is not good enough for Mike.
Methodist Church, excuse me.
Which one did I say? Wesleyan's.
Wesleyan's.
It's all right. They don't know it anyway. I can say that. I went to a Wesleyan school.
That's true. You did.
And they didn't know it.
They didn't know the Apostles' Creed? No. Really? I mean, they know it.
Well, no, I went. They couldn't recite it, but they could. Well, it was. I went to in my very first theology class, and we're sitting there, and I'm one of the few Lutherans at a Wesleyan school, and my professor says we're talking about Apostles' Creed. He says, "Can anyone recite the Apostles' Creed?" I was the only student that raised my hand, and not making this up for the podcast, dead in the eyes, he looked at me and goes, "You must be Lutheran."
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
He literally said, "You must be Lutheran," because no one else had it memorized in my theology class, which is scary to think about nowadays. But
it is.
It just is. It's the importance of why in the Lutheran Church what we do put on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think,
So we are creedal church. That those mainline churches are historically always been, this is what we affirm to be true. The Nicene Creed, the Apostles' Creed, the Athanasian Creed, you mentioned those three. And they do serve as a unchanging foundation for our theology, for our practice, for how we understand the Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. It is incredibly important. You're right. And I would add to what you said so eloquently, in the age of artificial intelligence, where you can ask a search engine AI some question, and it's going to give some truth, but it's also going to make up things. You can always measure it against, if it's about Christianity, about Jesus, about the nature of Jesus, you can always measure it against this truth that the Nicene Creed is 1,500 years old this year. It was written in 325 AD. And the Apostles' Creed's older than that. Athanasian Creed is the 4th century as well. But you can measure a truth from today against, to your point, against these foundational things that have lasted for over 1,000 years. It's incredible.
Yeah. And it really is. And the way it breaks down going through our belief in God the Father, our belief in God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit, it really does encompass all that we believe in those aspects, and really is a great way for us to share our, process our faith.
Yeah. And some people push back and say, well, it is it's a way to create doctrine, it's a way for control and those kind of things. And no, I don't think those are true. Like the Apostles' Creed emerged in the early 2nd century as Christianity was growing. It was an illegal religion within the Roman Empire, and yet it was still growing by leaps and bounds. And the church leadership of that day, in what would have been the Roman world, said, we have all these people coming to follow Jesus, coming to be baptized. There's a time of preparation. The season of Lent was the time of preparation in those days for baptism. A lot of baptism happened on Easter Sunday. And so part of that preparation was creating a concise creedal statement, like you said, I believe, that says when a person was being baptized, an adult generally, they would have to stand up in front of the body of believers and say, this is what I believe, and this is what I'm believing to be baptized into. So in the Lutheran Church in particular, why do we always link baptism and the Apostles' Creed? It wasn't Luther's idea. It has always been the church's idea since the 2nd century of linking baptism and the Apostles' Creed in particular. And it just summarizes what do we believe about God in 2 sentences, 1 sentence, 2 basic brief statements. What do we believe about Jesus? Doesn't say everything about Jesus, doesn't have his teachings in there, but shows his mission.
It shows briefly the timeline of his life.
Exactly.
It's conceived by the Holy Spirit, born of the Virgin Mary, suffered under Pontius Pilate. And so
it's quick highlights, but the very incredible, crucial highlights, and then what do we believe about the Holy Spirit? And so person being baptized, I believe this about the Holy Spirit. Does it mean we have every question answered? Of course not. But it is a statement to say, I can stand on this truth, as other Christians and followers of Jesus have stood on this truth for, centuries upon centuries.
Yeah. And I think that's so important. We utilize the Apostles' Creed in baptism as well as then on Confirmation Sunday. We have the students as well recite that because, like I said, in our catechism program at St. Luke, catechism is, if you're listening, not Lutheran, it's basically like an instruction teaching class and it's a chance for then our younger students in 8th grade or older at St. Luke to say, hey, I'm taking my faith as my own, and these are these are things that I believe in, my faith, and I'm going to, affirm my faith and affirm my baptism and things like that. And so going through that class, our main section for the first 6 weeks is unpacking the Apostles' Creed, looking at what does it mean when it says, I believe in God the Father. What does God the Father mean? Like this whole concept of, him being a good father and, Abba, and what is daddy, like it being a daddy, and those moments and those little teachable things, and looking at the whole then life of Jesus and going through that, beat by beat by beat, and then unpacking what the Holy Spirit is. Because I do think sometimes, in mainline Christianity, Holy Spirit kind of gets pushed to the side a little bit when we talk about stuff. It's more easy to just talk about Jesus because I don't know why, but I think it is. So I think it's important for us to have that all wrapped up in our creed.
Absolutely, yeah. And the Nicene Creed was developed in the 4th century. We sometimes recite the Nicene Creed on Sunday morning. We don't always. It's usually in the Lutheran Church reserved for a festival Sunday or special Sundays because it's longer. It's more theological. It's not as, Apostles' Creed is very to the point.
Right.
The Nicene Creed is theological language. Jesus is one being with the Father. Now, every statement in the Nicene Creed is purposeful and necessary, but it is a little more complicated to look at and to read and to study. But it's incredibly vital for our understanding because it came out of, again, people are going, you're just trying to silence certain voices and raise other voices, and that's been the knock on Christianity. No, it's not about silencing voices. It's about, what do we affirm to be true about Jesus? There are misunderstandings of who Jesus is to this very day.
Yeah.
Well, the nature of Jesus, according to the Nicene Creed, is he is both fully human being and fully God. And that because up until the 325, there were Christian teachers, Arius in particular, and Nestorius and others, who were saying Jesus was fully human being and not God.
Right.
and then create a church around that.
Yeah.
Or Nestorians who say, Jesus is fully God, but not a human being. He kind of looked like a human being, and forming a church around that belief. And the church leadership in 325 said, we can't have these various understandings of who Jesus is. We need to have some uniformity to be strong in this movement that's going literally around the Roman world and has gone around the world to this day.
Yeah, it doesn't, the Apostles' Creed isn't an encapsulation of everything that we believe.
Right.
It is these are the high key points that, like, your church better be believing these types of things, to be in line with the Christian faith. Yeah. It doesn't mean that there are other things out there that we don't believe.
Right.
But this is what universally as the church we believe, and these are the truths and stuff that we can hold on to and cling to. And there are moments that, yes, there are going to be other things and stuff that we believe and that will filter into that. But I think we look at it maybe at a more critical lens than we would as much of if it's in the Apostles' Creed, right? Of like where you're believing. You
mentioned something one time, like there are things that are written in pen.
Yeah. I think it was in my theology class that I just mentioned earlier. Yes. Yeah, you have the idea of like, you have things that are written in blood. Like, these are the essentials. Like, Jesus was God, fully human, fully God. Like, that is a belief. Like, it's written in blood. It's there. Like, Jesus rose from it's written in blood. Like, and then there's things that are written in pen. You can't erase the blood, right? But like pen, like, it's harder to erase. You kind of get, like, that's where it's like baptism. Like, do we do adult baptism, believer baptism? Do you do infant baptism? Communion aspects of that, like those are very still stronger beliefs that the church have, but then churches might vary it off of it a little bit. And then you have the stuff that's written in pencil that is like, it really doesn't matter, like where it's like, oh, we believe that you should have guitars in worship, and other like, we believe you should only have an organ. Okay, cool. It doesn't really matter which way. Like those, and so there are tiers of stuff that we believe too, and I think the stuff that's written in blood kind of fits into that Apostles' Creed to go what you're saying. Yeah,
absolutely. People have died for this belief of saying, I believe this to be true, and they've died. So there is blood that is literally shed because of that truth, and I think you're right. The Apostles' Creed is in that category. And it's in Luther's catechism because there are 3 sections to this catechism.
Yeah.
You mentioned teaching young people. We learn about the 10 Commandments, and then we learn about the Apostles' Creed. Again, linked with baptism, affirmation baptism. This is what I believe. We're asking students to share, I believe this. Mm-hmm. And then the Lord's Prayer. 3 incredibly important parts of what it is to follow Jesus. 10 Commandments, the Apostles' Creed, and the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then we haven't even talked about the Athanasian Creed, which that's its own world.
Which whenever students go, oh, you're making us memorize the Apostles' Creed, I then show them the Athanasian Creed, and I say, you want to do this one instead? They're like, oh, we'll take the Apostles' Creed. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the Athanasian Creed is repetitive to be almost ad nauseum, repetitive, but incredibly theologically sound and important for us, but it's not.
The Athanasian Creed is the student who reminds the teacher that they forgot to collect the homework. Like, that's super in-depth nerdy.
Yeah.
Where the Apostles' Creed is like, give me the basics. Like, what is our faith about?
That's true. That's a really good point. You know what? Think about this. There's 4 Gospels. All of 4 Gospels are unique and different.
Yeah.
Mark's Gospel is just so to the point. Jesus is, it's just, there's no fluff in Mark's Gospel. Luke and Matthew, there's more fluff, nuanced based on the audience. And then John's his own world. Think about this. The creeds kind of had that same way.
Yeah.
Like the Apostles' Creed is kind of like Mark. Nicene Creed is like Matthew and Luke. And then John's Gospel is like the Athanasian Creed. They all have their own kind of feel to them.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Oh, for sure.
So, hope that was helpful. The Apostles' Creed is a very, very important part of our life together. So.
Yeah, and I'd encourage, to check out memorizing the creeds if you can't. Yeah. And I feel like if you've grown up especially if you've grown up in the Lutheran churches, you've you probably have it memorized more. And again, it just is something that way it's an easy recall when you have. And I think those are the more that we can do those little things to help us with our faith and grow and knowledge and learn, I think is great.
Yep. Well.